Thank you so much for joining me right here for another Women Crush Wednesday. Today we're going to talk about Frances Perkins, who was the first woman to be appointed to the U.S. Cabinet. Let's learn all about Frances Perkins. Fact number 1. Besides being the first woman to be appointed to the U.S. Cabinet, she was also a sociologist as well as a workers' right advocate. Perkins was born in 1880. She spent most of her childhood in Worcester, Massachusetts. She got her first degree in physics and chemistry from Mount Holyoke University. She then went on to Columbia University, where she graduated in 1910 with a master's degree in political science. Fact number 2. Perkins became a social reformer in Chicago when she was getting her master's degree and quickly rose to prominence. So, what is a social reformer? It's basically someone who is advocating for marginalized communities. Now, Perkins and her colleagues ended up going the extra mile. What they would actually do would be to establish these homes in which the social reformers would go and live in impoverished communities in order to educate the surrounding communities by providing them health care, education, child care, to really try and lift up the community around them. After graduating, she returned to New York and became the head of the New York Consumers League, which basically was an organization that would advocate for equal rights and better working conditions. Now, Perkins generally kept a very cool head whenever she was negotiating for workers' rights, but once she is very famous for telling the chairman of General Motors that he was going to go to hell when he died because he was being so horrible to his workers. Fact number 3. Even after Perkins was married, she decided that she wanted to keep her maiden name, and she actually ended up having to go to court in order to fight for the ability to keep her name and not change it to her husband's last name. Fact number 4. FDR appointed Perkins as the Secretary of Labor in 1933, and she served in that position for 12 years, which makes her the longest standing person to serve in that position. As the Secretary of Labor, Perkins ended up doing a lot of things for workers' labor rules on a national level. In fact, she was one of the main writers of the Social Security bill. Also, behind the New Deal, she ended up organizing labor unions which banned child labor, instituted a national minimum wage, as well as really ensured the safety and security of workers across the United States. She also created the CCC, the Civilian Conservation Corps, which was also around during the New Deal, in which unemployed men and women would be employed by the government to help with replanting forests that had been ravaged by logging, which would help rebuild American infrastructure like roads and railroads, just to really put unemployed American men and women at work for the American government. Fact number 5. After retiring from the government in 1952, after her husband's death, she ended up teaching at Cornell University until 1965. Perkins was a truly incredible woman who did many amazing things, both on the U.S. Cabinet as well as the Secretary of Labor. And interestingly enough, I think it's really important to note that someone as dynamic and influential as Perkins probably would not be allowed on the U.S. Cabinet today. So even though during that time lots of things were very conservative, it was truly incredible that the American people allowed someone like Perkins in order to make such important changes around the United States. Thank you for joining me for another Women Crush Wednesday. Next week, we've got a really, truly incredible woman that we're going to be talking about. She was very flamboyant, lived a very boisterous, incredible life. You definitely won't want to miss it, so join me next Wednesday right here.